Imagine 5 armed men, rulers of the street, dragging a defenseless girl into a dark alley. In seconds, everything should have ended for her. But inexplicably, the opposite happens. A single man emerges from the shadows and in less than 20 seconds turns predators into prey. How is this possible? Who is this ghost that seems to fight against logic itself? And the most disturbing part, it was all recorded. The video didn't take long to explode across the internet. And this was only the beginning. The alley smells of rain-soaked asphalt and rotting garbage. Streetlights flicker overhead, casting jagged shadows against brick walls covered in graffiti. The city breathes around them. Distant sirens, the hum of traffic, the muffled bass from a nightclub 2 blocks away. But here, in this narrow corridor between abandoned buildings on Chicago's south side, the only sound that matters is the ragged breathing of 5 men circling a young woman with dark hair and terrified eyes. Her name is Ava Martinez, 23 years old, art history student. A part-time barista. She makes chamomile tea for elderly customers and sketches Renaissance paintings in coffee-stained notebooks. She has never thrown a punch in her life. She has never needed to. Until tonight. "Please," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the thrum of her own heartbeat. "I don't want any trouble." The man in front of her, tattoos crawling up his neck, gold teeth glinting in the half-light, laughs. It's a sound without warmth. Too late for that, sweetheart. What these men don't know, what they couldn't possibly know, is that Ava Martinez isn't alone. And the person coming for her isn't just her boyfriend. He's something else entirely. Something forged in places where mercy is a luxury, and hesitation means death. His name, in the circles that matter, is Ghost. And in exactly 47 seconds, this alley is going to become a graveyard. This is the story of what happens when predators choose the wrong prey. 3 weeks earlier, Chicago wears autumn like a favorite coat, golden light filtering through skeletal trees, the smell of roasted chestnuts from street vendors, the crisp bite of October air that makes people walk just a little bit faster. Lake Michigan stretches endlessly to the east, its grey waters reflecting a sky heavy with the promise of early winter. Ava Martinez steps off the red line at Fullerton, earbuds in, listening to a lecture podcast about Caravaggio's use of shadow and light. She wears an oversized cardigan the color of rust, jeans with paint stains on one knee, canvas sneakers that have seen better days. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun, no makeup except for a touch of lip balm. She is, in every visible way, unremarkable. Which is exactly how she likes it. The cafe where she works sits on a quiet corner, wedged between a vintage bookstore and a dry cleaner. Rowan's Coffee House. Hand-painted letters on weathered wood, mismatched furniture inside, walls covered with local art that rotates monthly. Ava has worked here for 2 years, saving money for graduate school, spending her shifts making flat whites and discussing impressionism with the regulars who treat the place like a living room. "Morning, sunshine," calls Marcus, the owner, a 60-year-old former journalist with kind eyes and permanently coffee-stained fingers. He's arranging pastries behind the counter, the smell of fresh croissants filling the small space. "Morning," Ava replies, tying on her apron. "How's your daughter?" "Starting college next month. Can you believe it?" Marcus shakes his head, but he's smiling. "Time's a thief, Ava. Don't let it steal too much from you." She doesn't tell him that time already has. That 3 years ago, her mother died of cancer, leaving Ava alone, except for a distant aunt in Arizona who sends Christmas cards but never calls. That her apartment is a studio barely big enough for a bed and a desk. That most nights she eats ramen and studies under a lamp that flickers when trucks pass on the street below. She doesn't tell him because that's not who Ava is. She carries her grief quietly, the way some people carry scars beneath their clothes. The morning passes in its familiar rhythm, regulars ordering their usual drinks, students camping out with laptops, an old woman who comes in every Tuesday for Earl Grey and tells stories about her late husband's time in the Navy. Ava listens. She's good at listening. It's a skill she's cultivated, this ability to make people feel seen without demanding attention for herself. At noon, her phone buzzes. A text message. Cole. Lunch? I'm nearby. Ava's face softens into something that could almost be called a smile. Something private and genuine that she shows to almost no one. Ava, 20 minutes. Meet me at the park. Cole, I'll bring sandwiches. She finishes her shift, says goodbye to Marcus, and walks the 3 blocks to Grant Park. The trees here are ablaze with color, crimson and amber and deep gold, and the air smells like dying leaves and the promise of snow. She finds Cole sitting on their usual bench, 2 wrapped sandwiches beside him, watching joggers pass on the lakefront path. Cole Rourke is 31 years old, though he looks both younger and older, depending on the light. He has the kind of face that doesn't photograph well, angular, weathered, with eyes the color of winter storms. His hair is dark and kept short. He moves with an economy of motion that suggests either military training or a lifetime of discipline. Most people who see him think he's a construction worker, maybe a personal trainer, something physical but unremarkable. They would be wrong. Hey, he says, and the word carries more weight than it should, more warmth. Ava sits beside him, close enough that their shoulders touch. Hey yourself. He hands her a sandwich, turkey and avocado, her favorite, from the deli that makes everything from scratch. They eat in comfortable silence, watching the city move around them. This is their ritual. 3 times a week, when their schedules align, they meet here. They don't talk much, they don't need to. How's the research going? Cole asks eventually. Slowly. I'm trying to finish my thesis on Baroque influence in contemporary street art, but I keep getting distracted by work. She takes a bite, chews thoughtfully. There's this gallery event on Friday. New exhibition by a Chicago artist who uses religious iconography in really interesting ways. Want to come? Cole hesitates. He always hesitates when she invites him places with crowds, with people who might ask questions. But then he looks at her, really looks at her, the way he always does when he's making a decision, and nods. I'll be there. You don't have to, Ava says quickly. I know you don't really like. I'll be there, he repeats, and his voice has that quiet firmness that means the conversation is over. What Ava doesn't know, what Cole has carefully kept from her since they met 18 months ago at a random coffee shop on a random Tuesday, is that his hesitation has nothing to do with discomfort and everything to do with threat assessment. Every crowd is a potential ambush. Every stranger is a possible enemy. Every moment of relaxation is a moment of vulnerability. Because Cole Rourke spent 12 years in the most elite special operations units that most governments won't admit exist. He has operated in 14 countries under names that change with each mission. He speaks 6 languages fluently. He has killed 37 people, 38 if you count the Taliban commander who bled out 3 hours after Cole put a bullet through his femoral artery. He has scars across his ribs from shrapnel in Kandahar, a burn mark on his left shoulder from a close-range muzzle flash in Syria. His hands, though clean and unmarked, have broken bones and crushed windpipes and pulled triggers in the dark. But when Ava looks at him, she sees none of that. She sees a quiet man who brings her sandwiches and listens to her talk about art history and holds her hand like it's something precious. She sees safety, gentleness, home, and Cole would burn the world to keep it that way. Friday arrives with the kind of cold that seeps into bones. The gallery is in River North, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and industrial lighting, the kind of place where champagne costs $20 a glass and everyone wears black like it's a uniform. Ava arrives early, wearing the only dress she owns, simple, navy blue, paired with a cardigan because she's always cold. The exhibition is stunning. Massive canvases depicting biblical scenes reimagined in urban settings. Angels with graffiti wings, the Last Supper in a Chicago diner, Judas with a cell phone raised for a selfie. The artist is there, surrounded by admirers, and Ava stands at the periphery, taking notes in a small notebook she keeps in her purse. Cole is supposed to meet her at 7. It's 7:15, then 7:30. Ava checks her phone. No messages. She tells herself it's fine. He probably got held up at work. He does private security consulting now, something vague involving corporate clients and odd hours. She's never pressed him for details. Everyone deserves their privacy. At 7:45, she texts him, Ava. Everything okay? No response. By 8 o'clock, the gallery is crowded. Voices bouncing off high ceilings, the smell of wine and expensive perfume thick in the air. Ava feels suddenly claustrophobic. She slips outside into the cold October night, pulling her cardigan tight around her shoulders. The street is quieter here. The gallery sits on a corner where River North bleeds into the warehouse district, gentrified on one side, forgotten on the other. Streetlights cast pools of yellow light. A few couples walk past, laughing. A car drives by, bass thumping. Ava leans against the brick wall, checks her phone again. Still nothing. She's not angry. She doesn't get angry. But there's a small knot of worry in her chest, the kind that comes from loving someone who keeps parts of themselves hidden. That's when she notices the men. There are 4 of them at first, crossing the street toward her. They move with the kind of casual confidence that comes from owning territory, from knowing the police won't come quickly here. They wear designer hoodies and expensive sneakers. One has a diamond stud in his ear that catches the light. Another has tattoos creeping up from his collar, symbols Ava doesn't recognize. Hey, beautiful, the one in front calls out. He's young, maybe 25, with a sharp face and sharper eyes. You lost? Ava's stomach tightens. She's lived in Chicago her whole life. She knows what's happening. I'm fine, thank you, she says, her voice steady despite the adrenaline beginning to flood her system. She pushes off the wall, starts walking back toward the gallery entrance 30 feet away. They follow. Don't be like that, another one says, moving to cut off her path. We're just being friendly. What's your name? I'm not interested. Ava says, louder now, hoping someone from the gallery will hear, will come outside. Please leave me alone. The one with the diamond stud laughs. Stuck-up bitch thinks she's too good for us. Then a 5th man emerges from a car parked at the curb. Older, maybe 35, with a neck tattoo that marks him as someone important in whatever hierarchy these men follow. He looks at Ava the way someone might look at property. Nah, she's perfect, he says, and his voice has a finality to it that makes Ava's blood run cold. Come here, sweetheart. We're going to have a conversation. No, Ava says, and she's backing up now, her heart hammering, her mind racing through options. Scream, run, get back inside. But the gallery door seems impossibly far away. One of them grabs her arm. Ava jerks back, but his grip is iron. Let go! You're making a scene, he hisses, pulling her toward the alley between the gallery and the next building. Be smart. Be quiet. The others close in. Ava tries to scream, but a hand clamps over her mouth. She's being dragged now, her heels scraping against concrete, her notebook falling from her purse onto the sidewalk. Panic floods her system, pure animal panic. The alley swallows them, darkness and the smell of garbage and rain. One of them shoves her against the wall hard enough that her head bounces off brick. Stars explode across her vision. Stupid bitch, the one with the neck tattoo says, and there's something in his voice now, something eager. Thought you could just disrespect us? You know who we are? Ava doesn't answer. Can't answer. Her ears are ringing. Blood trickles from her scalp where it hit the wall. She's terrified, but somewhere beneath the terror is something else. A cold, clear understanding that whatever happens next will be bad, very bad. The man reaches for her, and that's when the world changes. Cole Rourke is 3 blocks away when he gets Ava's text. He's been delayed. A client meeting that ran long, the kind of corporate security assessment that pays well but eats time. He's walking fast now, hands in the pockets of his jacket, his mind already tracking routes and contingencies, because that's what he does. That's what he'll always do. Then he rounds the corner and sees Ava's notebook on the sidewalk. Time stops. It's a small thing, a $5 notebook with a worn cover and coffee stains, but Cole knows it immediately because he's seen Ava carry it everywhere, seen her sketch in it during their lunches, seen the careful way she treats it like it matters. She would never drop it. His eyes scan the street, the gallery, the alley, and then he hears it, a muffled sound from the shadows between buildings. Something that might be a gasp or a cry cut short. Cole moves. He doesn't run. Running draws attention. Instead, he crosses the distance with the fluid, purposeful stride of a predator closing on prey. His hands come out of his pockets. His breathing slows. His mind shifts into a state he hasn't accessed in months. The cold, crystalline focus that comes from years of operating in places where a single mistake means death. He steps into the alley. 5 men, 1 woman against the wall, bleeding from her head, terror written across her face. One of the men has his hand on her shoulder, another is laughing. The others form a loose semicircle, blocking any escape. Cole catalogues it all in less than a second. Threat levels, weapons, he can see 2 handguns, 1 knife, positioning, exit routes, collateral risk. And then his eyes meet Ava's. The relief that floods her face is almost painful to watch. "Cole," she breathes. Every man in the alley turns toward him. "You lost?" The one with the neck tattoo asks, stepping away from Ava, hand moving toward his waistband, where a gun handle is visible. "This is private business. Walk away." Cole doesn't walk away. He doesn't say anything at all. He just moves. The first man doesn't even see it coming. Cole closes the distance in 2 steps and drives his knee into the man's solar plexus with surgical precision. Not hard enough to rupture organs, but hard enough to collapse the diaphragm and shut down breathing. The man drops, gasping like a fish on dry land. The second man reaches for his gun. Cole's hand is faster. He catches the man's wrist mid-draw, twists it at an angle that dislocates the elbow joint with a wet pop, and strips the weapon in one fluid motion. The man screams. Cole silences him with an elbow strike to the temple that sends him crumpling to the ground, unconscious before he hits asphalt. 3 seconds, 2 down. The remaining 3 men react now, their brains finally catching up to what their eyes are seeing. One pulls a knife, a switchblade that glints in the half-light. He lunges. Cole sidesteps, redirects the knife arm, and uses the man's own momentum to drive him face first into the brick wall. There's a sickening crunch of cartilage, broken nose, maybe fractured orbital bone. The knife clatters to the ground. The man slides down the wall, leaving a smear of blood. The 4th man charges, swinging wild haymakers. Cole doesn't block. He slips inside the punches, too close for the man's arms to generate power, and delivers 3 rapid strikes. Throat, floating rib, kidney. Each one precise, each one devastating. The man folds, vomiting onto the alley floor. The one with the neck tattoo, the leader, finally gets his gun out. He raises it, finger on the trigger, aimed at Cole's center mass. "I'll fucking kill you!" he shouts, and his hand is shaking, adrenaline and fear making him sloppy. Cole moves laterally as the man fires. The muzzle flash illuminates the alley for a split second, bright enough to burn after images onto retinas. The bullet misses by 6 inches, ricocheting off brick with a sound like a snapped wire. Before the man can fire again, Cole is on him. He traps the gun hand, twists the weapon away, and brings it up under the man's chin. Not hard enough to fire, just hard enough to make the point clear. "Drop," Cole says. It's the first word he's spoken since entering the alley. The man's eyes are wide, pupils dilated with terror. He recognizes something in Cole now, some fundamental difference between civilians and those who hunt humans professionally. He drops. Cole steps back, ejecting the magazine from the gun, clearing the chamber, disassembling the weapon with muscle memory earned through 10,000 repetitions. The pieces scatter across the alley. Then he turns to Ava. She's still against the wall, one hand pressed to the cut on her scalp, her whole body trembling. Cole crosses to her, his movement suddenly gentle, all the violence draining out of him like water from a broken dam. "Are you hurt?" he asks, his voice soft, his hands hovering near her face without quite touching, as if he's afraid he'll break her. Ava stares at him. At this man she thought she knew. At the 5 bodies littered around them like broken toys, at the gun parts scattered across the ground. "What?" she starts, but her voice cracks. "Who are you?" Cole doesn't answer. He can't. Not yet. Instead, he pulls off his jacket and drapes it over her shoulders. "We need to leave, now." But they're already too late. Above them, mounted on the corner of the building, a security camera's red light blinks steadily, recording everything. The emergency room at Northwestern Memorial is a symphony of suffering. Moaning patients, beeping monitors, the sharp smell of disinfectant and fear. Ava sits on an examination table while a tired-looking doctor examines the cut on her scalp. It's not deep enough for stitches, just a butterfly bandage and instructions to watch for signs of concussion. Cole stands by the door, arms crossed, his eyes constantly scanning the room. He hasn't spoken much since they left the alley. Just drove her here in his truck, a nondescript Ford with tinted windows, and stayed close while she gave a statement to the police officer who showed up 40 minutes later. The officer, young, maybe 26, with a notebook and a sympathetic expression, asks the standard questions. Did she know her attackers? Had she seen them before? Can she identify them? Ava answers mechanically, No, maybe. The officer doesn't ask about Cole, doesn't question how one man managed to disable 5 gang members with his bare hands. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's seen too much in this city to be surprised by anything. When the doctor finishes and leaves them alone, Ava finally speaks. "I need you to tell me the truth." Cole looks at her, really looks at her, and for the first time since she's known him, she sees something in his face that might be fear. "Ava, don't." Her voice is sharper than she intends. "Don't lie to me. Not now. What you did back there, that wasn't self-defense training from a gym. That was something else, something—" She trails off, searching for the word. "Professional." Cole is silent for a long moment. Outside, an ambulance siren wails, growing louder then fading into the distance. He moves to the chair beside her bed and sits, his hands clasped between his knees. "My name is Cole Rourke," he says finally. "That part is true. I'm 31. I grew up in Montana. My parents died when I was 17, car accident. I joined the military at 18 because I had nowhere else to go." Ava waits. She can sense there's more. "I spent 12 years in special operations, the kind of units that don't officially exist. I did things—" He stops, jaw tightening. "I did things I can't talk about, things I'm not proud of. And then 2 years ago, I got out. Started over, tried to build a normal life. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted one part of my life to be clean, to be real." He looks up at her, and his eyes are raw. "You're the first person in 15 years who's looked at me and seen something other than a weapon. I didn't want to lose that." Ava processes this. Part of her wants to be angry. Angry at the deception, at the months of carefully constructed half-truths, but a larger part of her understands. She knows about hiding, about protecting the fragile parts of yourself that the world would destroy if given the chance. "Those men," she says quietly, "will they come back? I don't know." Cole's voice is honest, which somehow makes it worse. "Maybe. Depends on who they work for. What matters more to them, pride or survival? What if they do?" Cole meets her eyes. "Then I'll handle it." There's something final in the way he says it. Something that makes Ava realize that the gentle man who brings her sandwiches and the lethal presence in that alley aren't different people. They're the same person. And she's going to have to decide if she can live with that. Before she can respond, the hospital room door opens. A police detective walks in, older, maybe 50, with gray hair and the weathered face of someone who's seen the worst humanity has to offer. His badge identifies him as Detective Marcus Reeves. "Ms. Martinez," he says, his voice professionally neutral, "I need to ask you a few more questions, alone, if that's all right." Cole stands immediately. "I'll wait outside." When the door closes behind him, Reeves pulls up a chair and sits, studying Ava with eyes that miss nothing. "Want to tell me what really happened tonight?" Ava repeats her story. The men, the alley, Cole's arrival. The detective takes notes, nodding occasionally, his expression giving nothing away. "And your boyfriend," Reeves says. Cole Rourke. "What do you know about him?" "He's a security consultant. We've been dating for over a year." "Security consultant." Reeves makes a note. "That's vague." "It's what he does." "Ms. Martinez, I've been a cop for 27 years. I've seen a lot of fights, bar brawls, gang violence, domestic situations. What your boyfriend did tonight." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "That wasn't someone protecting their girlfriend. That was someone with extensive combat training executing a tactical response to a threat. The kind of training you don't get from a weekend seminar." Ava says nothing. Reeves leans forward. "I'm not trying to make trouble for you or him, but those men he put in the hospital, they're connected to the Vegas Syndicate. You know what that is?" She shakes her head. "They're one of the fastest growing criminal organizations in Chicago. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking. They've got connections to cartels in Mexico and street gangs across the Midwest. And your boyfriend just humiliated 5 of their soldiers on camera." Ava's blood runs cold. "On camera?" "Security footage from the building. It's already circulating online. By morning, everyone in the city is going to know about this, including the people who run the Vegas Syndicate." "What does that mean?" Reeves stands, tucking his notebook into his jacket. "It means you should be careful. Both of you. These aren't people who forgive easily." He hands her his card. "If anything happens, anything at all, you call me, day or night. Understand?" Ava takes the card with numb fingers. "Okay." When Reeves leaves, Ava sits alone in the examination room, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, her mind racing. She thinks about Cole, about the violence she witnessed, about the danger now circling them like sharks scenting blood, and she realizes, with a clarity that feels almost like calm, that her quiet life is over. What happens next is going to change everything. If you're invested in this story, if you want to see how Ava and Cole survive what's coming, drop a comment below and make sure you stay until the end. This is just the beginning. The video hits Twitter at 11:47 p.m. By midnight, it has 10,000 views. By 1 a.m., 50,000. By sunrise, it's trending nationally. The footage is grainy but clear enough. Security camera angle from above, black and white, timestamp running in the corner. You can see Ava being dragged into the alley. You can see Cole appear. And then, for 17 seconds, you can watch one man systematically dismantle 5 others with a precision that looks almost choreographed. The internet does what the internet does best. It obsesses. Someone slows down the footage, breaks it into frame-by-frame analysis. Look at the way he moves. That's not amateur. That's military, probably special forces. Someone else enhances the audio, isolates the sounds, the crack of breaking bone, the thud of bodies hitting ground, the single gunshot that misses. Within hours, Cole Rourke has a nickname. Ghost of Chicago starts trending. Memes appear. Compilations. Reaction videos, true crime. YouTubers scramble to piece together information about the mystery vigilante. Most of the internet celebrates. This is what real men look like. 5 against 1 and they all lost. Talk about fuck around and find out. But in certain corners of the city, in social clubs and back rooms and encrypted chat channels, different conversations are happening. The Vega Syndicate doesn't tolerate disrespect, and what Cole did in that alley isn't just assault, it's humiliation. It's a message, whether he intended it or not, that the Vega soldiers are weak, that their territory isn't safe, that they can be touched. In a warehouse on the west side, a man named Hector Vega watches the video for the 20th time. He's 43 years old, built like a boxer, with scars across his knuckles and a reputation for ruthlessness that keeps his empire running. He built the Vega Syndicate from nothing, starting as a street dealer at 15, rising through violence and strategic brutality to control a network that spans 4 states. He doesn't tolerate losses. Find him, Vega says to the men assembled in front of him. Find out everything, where he lives, where he works, who his people are. I want to know what he had for breakfast yesterday. One of his lieutenants, a man named Rico with a shaved head and dead eyes, nods. The girl from the video, Ava Martinez, we already have her information, student at Art Institute, lives alone, works at a coffee shop in Lincoln Park. Vega considers this. She's leverage, but I want the boyfriend. He's the one who needs to learn the lesson. What kind of lesson? Rico asks. Vega's smile doesn't reach his eyes. The permanent kind. Cole knows they're coming before they make their move. He can feel it, the prickle of awareness that comes from years of operating in hostile territory. The sense that eyes are watching, measuring, calculating. He's dealt with threats before, but those were in war zones, in places where the rules of engagement were clear. This is different. This is Ava's city, her home, and she's caught in the crossfire. The morning after the video goes viral, Cole stands in his apartment, a sparse, utilitarian space in a nondescript building in Pilsen. No personal effects, except for a single photo on the nightstand. Ava laughing at something he said, sunlight in her hair. The rest of the apartment is empty, deliberate, always ready to disappear. His phone buzzes. A text from a number he recognizes. His old unit commander, retired now but still connected. Hayes, you made the news, brother. That you in the Chicago video? Cole stares at the message. Doesn't reply. Hayes, if it is, you need to be careful. That footage shows tradecraft. People are asking questions. Our kind of people. Cole, I'm handling it. Hayes, don't try to handle it alone. You need an exit strategy. Cole locks his phone. Exit strategy. He's thought about nothing else since last night. He could disappear. He's done it before. New city, new identity, leave everything behind. But that would mean leaving Ava. And he's already decided that's not an option, which means the other choice, the one he's been avoiding. He needs to eliminate the threat. Cole opens a hidden compartment behind his bathroom mirror. Inside, cash, 2 fake IDs, a Glock 19 with 3 magazines, and a burner phone. He takes all of it, loading the gun and securing it in a holster at the small of his back. Then he drives to Ava's apartment. She lives on the 3rd floor of a brownstone in Lakeview, a studio with high ceilings and big windows that flood the space with light, books everywhere, art supplies scattered across a desk, the smell of jasmine tea and old paper. When she opens the door, he can see she hasn't slept. Dark circles under her eyes, her hair uncombed, still wearing the same clothes from last night. I saw the video, she says quietly. Everyone's calling you Ghost. Did they used to call you that? Yeah. She steps aside to let him in. Why? Because I was good at not being seen, at getting in and out without leaving traces. He pauses. Before last night, I'd never been caught on camera, not once in 12 years. Ava sits on her bed, pulling her knees to her chest. What happens now? Now, I keep you safe. How? Cole hesitates. He wants to lie, to tell her everything will be fine, that this will blow over, but she deserves the truth. The men from last night work for an organization called the Vega Syndicate. They're dangerous and they don't forget, which means they're going to come after me, and they might try to use you to get to me. Ava's face goes pale. What do we do? You don't do anything. You stay here. You don't go to work, don't go to class, don't open the door for anyone except me. For how long? Until I end this. End this how? Cole looks at her, and his expression is something she's never seen before. Cold and certain and utterly without mercy. The only way I know how. While Cole prepares for war, Detective Marcus Reeves is doing what he does best, connecting dots. He sits in his office at the district station, a cluttered space with filing cabinets that don't close properly and coffee rings staining every available surface. His computer screen shows the viral video, frozen on a frame where Cole's face is partially visible. Reeves has run Cole Rourke through every database available. No criminal record, no warrants. A driver's license issued 3 years ago, a bank account with modest activity, an address in Pilsen. On paper, the man is unremarkable. But Reeves didn't make detective by trusting paper. He makes a call to an old contact at the FBI, a woman named Sandra Chen, who owes him favors from a joint task force operation 5 years back. I need you to run someone through federal databases, Reeves says. Military records, classified stuff if you can access it. Marcus, you know I can't just... Sandra, please. I've got a civilian who took down 5 gang members in under 20 seconds. That's not normal. I need to know who this guy is. A long pause. Then, send me what you have. 2 hours later, Sandra calls back. Her voice is different, cautious. Where did you find this guy? Chicago. He's dating a grad student. Why? Because Cole Rourke is flagged in the system. Not his real name, it's an alias. His actual identity is redacted, but I can see he was attached to JSOC for 12 years. Multiple deployments, classified operations. His file has more black ink than visible text. JSOC. Reeves whistles low. Joint Special Operations Command, the most elite tier of military operators. What's he doing in Chicago? No idea. His discharge is marked honorable, but there are notes about psychological evaluation. PTSD, probably. Some kind of incident that got him pulled from the field. Is he dangerous? Marcus, this guy's file lists him as proficient in 15 different methods of unarmed combat, expert marksman with multiple weapon systems, and trained in counterterrorism, direct action and close quarters battle. So yeah, I'd say he's dangerous. Reeves rubs his temples. The gang he tangled with. They're Vega Syndicate. They're going to retaliate. Then your boy better know what he's doing, Sandra says, because the Vega Syndicate doesn't play games. After he hangs up, Reeves sits in silence for a moment, weighing his options. He should bring Cole in for questioning, should put him under surveillance, should do his job by the book. But Reeves has been a cop long enough to know that sometimes the book doesn't account for reality. Sometimes the monsters aren't the ones you expect, and sometimes the only thing standing between an innocent woman and a violent death is a man with the skills to prevent it. He makes a decision that could cost him his badge. Reeves picks up his phone and calls Cole's number, obtained from the hospital records. The line rings 3 times before Cole answers. Detective, Mr. Rourke, I think we should talk. About? About the fact that Hector Vega has put a price on your head. $25,000. Word is, he's bringing in out-of-town hitters because his local guys are too scared after what you did. Silence on the other end. I could arrest you, Reeves continues. Protective custody. Keep you locked up until this blows over. That wouldn't keep Ava safe. No, Reeves admits. It wouldn't, which is why I'm calling instead of showing up with a warrant. You need to understand something. I spent 27 years trying to take down men like Hector Vega, men who poison communities, who traffic in misery, and the system keeps failing. We arrest them, they lawyer up, they walk. But you... He pauses. You scared them. That video? It's the first time in 5 years I've seen Vega Syndicate soldiers look over their shoulders. What are you saying? I'm saying I can't help you officially. But if you're planning something, if you're going to take this fight to them, then I can make sure I'm looking the other way. For Ava's sake, if nothing else. She's a good kid. Doesn't deserve to be caught in this. Cole is quiet for a long moment. If I do this, people are going to get hurt. They hurt Ava first. Far as I'm concerned, that's self-defense. Self-defense doesn't usually involve a body count. Then let's hope it doesn't come to that. Reeves sighs. There's a warehouse on West Harrison. Vega uses it as a distribution center. His guys meet there every Friday night to collect product and settle accounts. If someone wanted to send a message, that would be the place. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of watching bad men win, and because sometimes justice needs a little help getting done. Reeves hangs up before Cole can respond. Cole stands in Ava's apartment, phone in hand, staring out the window at the Chicago skyline. The sun is setting, painting the buildings in shades of amber and crimson. Beautiful and indifferent. Ava appears beside him, a mug of tea cradled in her hands. Who was that? Someone trying to help. Will it work? Cole turns to look at her. Really look at her. This woman who sketches Renaissance paintings and makes chamomile tea and somehow sees past all the blood on his hands to something worth loving. I'm going to end this, he says quietly, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Ava doesn't answer right away. She sets down her tea, steps closer and takes his hand, the same hand that broke bones and crushed throats just hours ago. She holds it like it's something precious. I trust you, she says, but promise me something. What? Promise me you'll come back. Cole wants to promise, wants to give her the certainty she deserves. But he's made too many promises he couldn't keep to too many people who died anyway. I'll try, is all he can say. It's not enough. It's never enough. But it's honest. They come for Ava on Tuesday afternoon. Cole has been gone for 3 hours, left before dawn with a duffel bag and instructions for Ava to stay inside. Keep the door locked. Don't answer for anyone. She's tried to distract herself with schoolwork, reading about Baroque techniques and taking notes that don't stick in her mind. The knock on the door comes at 2 p.m. Delivery, a muffled voice calls. Ava freezes. She didn't order anything. Cole's warnings echo in her head. She moves quietly to the door, checks the peephole. A man in a delivery uniform stands in the hallway holding a package. He looks normal, bored even. Behind him, the hallway is empty. Ava hesitates. Maybe she's being paranoid. Maybe it's really just a delivery, something from Amazon, something her neighbor ordered by mistake. She cracks the door open, keeping the chain locked. That's when everything goes wrong. The man drops the package and slams his shoulder into the door. The chain snaps. Ava stumbles backward as 2 more men rush in behind him. No pretense now, no uniforms, just violence and intent. Ava screams. One of them grabs her, a hand over her mouth. She bites down hard, tasting blood. He swears, jerks his hand back, and backhands her across the face. Her vision explodes into white stars. Stupid bitch, he snarls, grabbing her by the hair. Make this easy, or make it hurt. Your choice. Ava's mind races. Cole taught her something last night. Not how to fight, but how to survive. If someone grabs you, he'd said, you don't try to be strong. You try to be loud. You try to be difficult. You make them work for every second. So Ava screams again. As loud as she can, she thrashes, kicks, scratches at faces. One of them punches her in the stomach, driving the air from her lungs. But she keeps fighting, keeps making noise. Doors open in the hallway. A neighbor, an older man named Mr. Kowalski, appears. What the hell is going on? One of the attackers pulls a gun, points it at the old man. Get back inside or I'll paint the walls with your brain. Mr. Kowalski's face goes white. He retreats, door slamming shut. They drag Ava into the hallway toward the stairs. She grabs the railing, holds on with everything she has. One of them pries her fingers loose, bending them back until she feels something crack. The pain is blinding. And then a sound that changes everything. Sirens. The men freeze, exchange glances. Someone called the police. Maybe Mr. Kowalski. Maybe another neighbor, it doesn't matter. What matters is they're out of time. Forget this, one of them hisses. Vega wants her alive, but he wants us alive more. Move! They drop Ava in the stairwell. She lands hard on concrete, her shoulder taking the impact, and run. She can hear their footsteps pounding down the stairs, hear the slam of the building's fire exit. Ava lies there gasping, her whole body screaming with pain. Her fingers are broken, her face is swelling, but she's alive. The police arrive 6 minutes later, then the paramedics. Then, 40 minutes after that, Cole. He appears in the hospital waiting room like a storm given human form. His face is carved from stone, his eyes burning with something that goes beyond anger into territory that has no name. He finds Ava in a curtained-off section of the ER, her hand in a splint, an ice pack against her swollen cheek. Ava. His voice breaks on her name. She looks up, and despite everything, the pain, the fear, the trauma, she manages something that might be a smile. You should see the other guys. It's a terrible joke. Cole doesn't laugh. He kneels beside the bed, and for the first time since she's known him, she sees his hands shake. I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. I thought you'd be safe. I thought, it's not your fault. Yes, it is. His voice is raw. Everything about this is my fault. They came after you because of me. Because I couldn't just walk away, couldn't just let them... He stops, jaw clenched so tight she can see the muscle jumping. Ava reaches out with her good hand, touches his face. Cole, listen to me. What you did in that alley, you saved my life. Those men would have hurt me whether you showed up or not, but you did show up, and now we deal with what comes next. Together. Together isn't safe. Not anymore. I don't care. Ava, I don't care. She repeats, and there's steel in her voice that surprises both of them. You think I'm going to run? You think I'm going to let them scare me out of my own life? No, absolutely not. So whatever you're planning, whatever comes next, I'm in. You don't get to protect me by pushing me away. Cole stares at her, and something shifts in his expression. A decision made. Okay, he says quietly. Okay, but we do this my way. And you do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you. Agreed? Agreed. He stands, pulls out his phone, makes a call. Hayes? It's Cole. I need backup, Chicago, full tactical package, and I need it yesterday. A pause while he listens. Yeah, I know what I'm asking. I know what it means. His eyes find Ava's. But I'm not running, not this time. I'm ending it. 24 hours later, 3 men arrive in Chicago. They come separately. Different flights, different hotels, different rental cars. But they all end up at the same location. A closed auto repair shop in Bridgeport that Cole rented under a false name. The first to arrive is Jackson Hawk Hawthorne. 41 years old, former Delta Force sniper, with a face that looks like weathered leather and eyes that can spot a target at 1,000 yards. He served with Cole in Afghanistan and Syria, saved his life in Mosul, retired 3 years ago, and now runs a security consulting firm in Virginia. You look like shit, Hawk says when Cole opens the door. You look old. Fuck you too, Ghost. But they embrace the kind of hard, back-slapping hug that men who've survived hell together share. The second arrival is Maria Doc Santos, 36, former Special Forces medic with short black hair and the calm competence of someone who's performed surgery in bombed-out buildings while under enemy fire. She left the military 5 years ago, got her nursing degree, works ER trauma in Detroit. She drives 16 hours straight to get here. This better be worth it, she says, dropping her duffel bag. I told the hospital I had a family emergency. It is, Cole says. Thank you for coming. The third is the youngest, Tyler Bishop. 29, former Navy SEAL, intelligence specialist with a talent for hacking and surveillance systems. He got out 2 years ago after his team leader was killed in Yemen. Now he works tech security in San Francisco, looking perpetually bored with civilian life. So, Bishop says, setting up a laptop on a makeshift table, we going to war? Something like that. Cole briefs them on everything, the attack on Ava, the Vega syndicate, the warehouse on West Harrison, the price on his head. He shows them photos, maps, surveillance footage he's collected over the past day. Hawk studies the warehouse layout. What's the objective? Rescue, elimination, extraction. Message, Cole says. I want Hector Vega to understand that coming after me or anyone I care about has consequences, permanent ones. How permanent are we talking? Doc asks. As permanent as necessary. There's a moment of silence, then Hawk nods. I'm in. Same, Doc says. Bishop just shrugs. Was getting bored anyway. They spend the next 6 hours planning. Bishop hacks into city surveillance systems, pulls up real-time feeds around the warehouse. Doc reviews medical protocols and emergency exits. Hawk plans firing positions and escape routes. Cole coordinates, drawing on 12 years of experience running operations in hostile territory. Friday night, Cole says. That's when they're all there. Leadership, enforcers, money. We hit them then. What about civilian casualties? Doc asks. We minimize them, but the people in that warehouse aren't civilians. They're predators, and predators understand one language. Rules of engagement? Hawk asks. Cole's expression is flat. Anyone with a weapon is hostile. Anyone who runs, let them. Anyone who fights, neutralize with extreme prejudice. It's the kind of language they used in deployment. The kind that reduces human beings to tactical problems, violence to procedure. But it's also honest. And in this room, with these people, honesty is all they have. Ava arrives later that evening. Cole didn't want her here, but she insisted. She wears a sling for her broken fingers and moves carefully, favoring her bruised ribs. When she sees the assembled team, hardened operators with scars and 1,000-yard stares, she almost falters. But then Doc steps forward, offers her hand. You must be Ava, I'm Maria. I've heard a lot about you. You have. Cole called me at 3 a.m. last week, completely panicked because he thought he said the wrong thing on your date. I had to talk him down for an hour. Doc smiles. For a guy who's stormed terrorist compounds, he's surprisingly insecure about romance. Despite everything, Ava laughs. It hurts her ribs, but she laughs. The tension breaks. Hawk introduces himself, then Bishop. They treat her with a gentleness that seems incongruous with their backgrounds, as if Cole's feelings for her have extended some protective umbrella over them all. Are you... Ava hesitates. Are you all planning to hurt people? Yes, Cole says. No lies, no sugarcoating. Will anyone die? Probably. Ava absorbs this. She thinks about the men who attacked her, the fear in Mr. Kowalski's eyes, the way her fingers bent backward until they broke. She thinks about all the other women these men have hurt, all the lives the Vega Syndicate has destroyed. Good, she says quietly. They deserve it. Friday night arrives cold and clear. The warehouse on West Harrison sits in an industrial zone where streetlights are sporadic and most businesses close at sunset. It's a perfect location for crime. Isolated, dark, with multiple exits and clear sightlines. Vega chose it well. But Vega has never fought people like Cole Rourke and his team. At 11 p.m., they're in position. Hawk on a rooftop 300 yards out, prone behind his rifle, eye to the scope. Doc in a van 2 blocks away, monitoring police scanners and providing overwatch through hijacked security cameras. Bishop running electronic warfare, jamming cell signals and creating a communications blackout in a 6-block radius. And Cole is a shadow moving through shadows, circling the warehouse like a shark circles prey. Inside, the Vega Syndicate is having a party. 15 men, music playing, drinks flowing, drugs and money stacked on tables. They're celebrating. Another successful week, another territory claimed, another rival crew crushed. Hector Vega himself is there, holding court, laughing at something one of his lieutenants said. They have no idea what's coming. Cole slips in through a maintenance entrance, Bishop unlocked remotely. No sound, no light, just movement through darkness, a ghost living up to his name. He plants breaching charges on 2 strategic walls, not to destroy, but to create chaos, and funnel the enemy where he wants them. In his earpiece, Doc's voice, "You're clear. No movement on the perimeter." Bishop's voice. Cameras are looped. They're watching footage from 30 minutes ago. Hawk's voice. I have eyes on 17 hostiles. 3 armed with visible handguns. Probable concealed carries on at least 6 more. Target Vega is center of the room, wearing a white shirt. I can take the shot whenever you're ready. Cole considers. 1 shot would end this. Vega dead, the syndicate leaderless, the threat neutralized. But that's not the message he wants to send. Negative, Cole says. I want him alive. This needs to be personal. Roger that. You're clear to proceed. Cole moves to the main room. He can hear them now, laughter, music, the clink of bottles. He checks his weapons, handgun in a thigh holster, combat knife strapped to his vest, flashbang grenades on his belt. Everything he needs to become the nightmare these men earned. He triggers the breaching charges. The explosions are deafening, twin blasts that blow out walls and shatter windows, filling the warehouse with smoke and debris. Men scream, diving for cover, grabbing weapons. The music cuts off. Emergency lights kick on, bathing everything in red. And through the smoke, Cole walks. The first man to see him fires wildly, bullets sparking off concrete. Cole doesn't even break stride. He moves laterally, putting a support column between himself and the shooter, then appears on the other side and puts 2 rounds into the man's center mass. He drops. Chaos erupts. Everyone is shooting now, muzzle flashes lighting up the smoke like a strobe. But they're panicked, unfocused, shooting at shadows. Cole is methodical. He moves cover to cover, engaging targets with surgical precision. Each shot placed, each movement deliberate. A man charges from the left. Cole sidesteps, drives an elbow into the man's temple, follows up with a knee strike that shatters his jaw. The man crumples. From the rooftop, Hawk's rifle cracks. One of the shooters near the back wall jerks and falls, a bloom of red on his shoulder, a disabling shot, not lethal. You've got 2 flanking right, Hawk says calmly. 10 o'clock moving toward the office. Cole adjusts, throws a flashbang into the office doorway. The grenade detonates, a supernova of light and sound that leaves the men inside disoriented and helpless. Cole enters, disarms them both with strikes so fast they never see them coming. 7 down, 10 to go. The remaining Vega soldiers regroup near the center of the warehouse, forming a defensive perimeter around Hector Vega. They're scared now, firing in controlled bursts, trying to create a wall of lead between themselves and this unstoppable force stalking them. But Cole isn't alone. The side door crashes open. Hawk and Doc enter in perfect sync, Hawk with his rifle, Doc with a submachine gun, both moving like they've done this 1,000 times before. Because they have. The syndicate soldiers turn to face the new threat, which is exactly what Cole wanted. He attacks from behind, moving through them like a scythe through wheat. A shot to the leg, a strike to the kidney. A disarm and reversal that leaves a man screaming on the ground, his arm bent at an unnatural angle. The fight lasts 90 seconds. When it's over, 12 men are down, wounded, disarmed or unconscious. 3 manage to escape through the back exit, running into the night and not looking back. And standing in the center of the carnage, surrounded by his broken crew, is Hector Vega. He's not laughing anymore. Cole approaches slowly, his handgun lowered but ready. Vega reaches for a weapon on the table behind him. Hawk's rifle shot hits the table first, splintering wood 6 inches from Vega's hand. I wouldn't, Hawk says from across the room. Vega freezes. His eyes find Cole's and there's a moment of recognition. This is the man from the video. The ghost. The one who started all of this. You just killed yourself, Vega says, trying for bravado, but landing somewhere around terror. You know what I'm going to do to you, to your girl. Cole closes the distance in 3 steps and grabs Vega by the throat, slamming him against the wall hard enough to crack plaster. Vega's feet leave the ground. You're not going to do anything, Cole says, his voice utterly cold, because you're going to leave Chicago tonight. You're going to disband your organization. You're going to tell every crew, every soldier, every low-level dealer that the Vega Syndicate is finished. And if I ever hear that you or anyone associated with you has come near Ava Martinez again, I will find you. It won't matter where you hide. It won't matter who you pay for protection. I will come for you, and I will make what happened here tonight look like mercy. Do you understand me? Vega can't speak, can't breathe, can only nod frantically. Cole drops him. Vega collapses, gasping, hands at his throat. You have 12 hours, Cole says. After that, I start hunting. He turns and walks away, his team falling in behind him. They leave the warehouse like they came. Ghosts vanishing into the night. Behind them, sirens begin to wail, distant but getting closer. In the van, Doc removes her tactical gear and tends to a minor cut on Hawk's arm. Bishop is already wiping the surveillance system, erasing any evidence they were ever there. Cole sits in silence, the adrenaline slowly draining from his system, replaced by exhaustion that goes bone deep. His phone buzzes. A text from Ava. Ava, is it done? Cole looks at the message for a long moment before responding. Cole, it's done. Ava, are you okay? He wants to say yes. Wants to tell her he's fine, that everything is fine, that they can go back to their quiet life of sandwiches in the park and gallery visits on Friday nights. But he's not fine. Won't be for a long time, because even though he did what needed to be done, even though he protected the woman he loves, he's back in that familiar darkness, the place where violence lives, where ghosts are made. Cole, I will be. It's the best he can offer, and it's honest. If you've made it this far, you know this story isn't just about violence. It's about protection, justice, and the lengths we go to for the people we love. If you want to see more stories like this, real, raw, and unflinching, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what you thought. Your support keeps stories like this coming. Detective Reeves reads the reports in his office, a cup of cold coffee forgotten on his desk. The official story is murky. Anonymous tip. Responding officers found the warehouse full of wounded gang members and enough drugs and weapons to prosecute a dozen cases. No suspects, no witnesses willing to talk. Just the aftermath of what looks like a professional military operation. Reeves knows exactly what happened. And when his captain asks if he has any leads, Reeves shakes his head and says, "Not yet. I'll keep investigating." It's not even really a lie. By noon, word spreads through Chicago's criminal underworld. Hector Vega is gone. Left the city overnight with whatever he could carry. His entire operation collapsed. The soldiers who survived the warehouse attack are either arrested or scattered to the wind. The Vega Syndicate, which terrorized neighborhoods for 5 years, which poisoned communities and destroyed lives, is finished, and everyone knows who did it. The ghost. But the ghost has disappeared again, vanished back into the shadows where such creatures belong. Cole Rourke, the quiet man who brings his girlfriend sandwiches, has resumed his normal life, or something close to it. He meets Ava at Grant Park on Tuesday, their bench, their ritual. The lake stretches out before them, grey and endless under a November sky. Ava's hand is still in a splint, her bruises fading from purple to yellow-green. "How are you feeling?" Cole asks. "Better. Physical therapy starts next week. They say I'll have full function back in 6 weeks." She pauses. "Doc called me yesterday." "She did? She wanted to check on me. We talked for an hour. She's intense but kind." "That's Doc." They sit in silence for a while, watching joggers pass, listening to the distant sound of traffic. Finally, Ava speaks. "I've been thinking about what you said, about your past, about the things you did." Cole tenses, waiting for the rejection he's always known was coming. The moment when Ava realizes she's in love with a killer and decides she can't live with that truth. But instead, she takes his hand. "I'm not going to pretend I understand it. I'm not going to say violence is okay or that what you've done doesn't matter. But I also can't pretend that you didn't save my life. Twice. And I can't pretend that the world isn't better with Hector Vega gone." She looks at him, her dark eyes clear and certain. So here's what I think. People aren't just one thing. You're not just Ghost. You're also the man who remembered I like chamomile tea, who listens to me talk about dead painters for hours, who looks at me like I'm the most important thing in the world. You are, Cole says quietly. Then that's enough. We'll figure out the rest together. It's not forgiveness exactly. It's something better. Acceptance. The recognition that people contain multitudes, that love means seeing the whole person, darkness and light, and choosing to stay anyway. I love you, Cole says. It's the first time he said it out loud, and the words feel like jumping off a cliff, terrifying and liberating at once. Ava smiles, a real smile, the kind that reaches her eyes. I know, I've known for months. You're really bad at hiding it. I was trained to be invisible. Not to me. They kiss, there on the bench in Grant Park, while the city breathes around them and the lake wind carries the smell of approaching winter. And for a moment, just a moment, Cole Rourke lets himself believe that maybe, possibly he can have this, can have normal, can have peace. Spring comes to Chicago like a benediction. The trees along Lake Michigan burst into green. Flowers appear in window boxes. People emerge from winter hibernation, squinting in the sunshine, remembering what warmth feels like. Ava Martinez walks through the gallery district in River North, a portfolio under her arm. She's meeting with a curator about potentially exhibiting some of her own work, a series exploring violence and beauty in Renaissance art. Inspired by events she doesn't talk about publicly, but which shaped her understanding of the world. Her fingers have healed. The bruises are long gone. But she moves differently now, more aware, more watchful. She's taken self-defense classes. She knows how to throw a proper punch, how to break a grip, how to create distance and run. She hopes she never needs those skills again, but she's glad she has them. Cole is waiting for her outside the gallery. He started teaching self-defense classes at a community center in Pilsen, mostly women, mostly survivors of domestic violence. It's volunteer work, something to channel the skills he has into something constructive. He's also consulting for a private security firm that provides protection for at-risk individuals. Legitimate work, legal work. A way to use his training without crossing lines that can't be uncrossed. It's not perfect. He still has nightmares sometimes, dreams of desert missions and night raids, and faces he couldn't save. But Ava is there when he wakes, holding him until the darkness recedes. They're building something. Not the quiet, simple life they both wanted, but something more honest, something stronger, a relationship forged in crisis and tempered by survival. How'd it go? Cole asks as she emerges from the gallery. Good, I think. She wants to see the full series, might schedule a showing in August. That's amazing. They start walking, no destination in mind, just moving through the city they both love despite its scars and shadows. As they pass an alley, not the one where everything started, but similar, Ava pauses. Do you ever regret it? She asks. What happened that night? Cole considers the question. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that you got hurt. But do I regret protecting you? Stopping people who were hurting others? No, I don't. Would you do it again? Without hesitation. Ava nods, satisfied. She loops her arm through his, and they continue walking. Behind them, the city continues its eternal cycle. Violence and beauty, darkness and light. Stories beginning and ending and beginning again. Somewhere, someone is making a choice that will change their life. Somewhere, a predator is hunting prey. Somewhere, a ghost walks among the living, invisible until the moment they're needed. But here in this moment, on this street corner where spring sunshine paints everything gold, there is only Ava and Cole. Two people who found each other in the midst of chaos and decided to hold on. Two people who learned that love isn't about perfection. It's about seeing someone completely, scars and all, and choosing them anyway. I'm hungry, Ava announces. Want to get pizza? only if it's that place you like with the deep dish. Obviously, they turn the corner, disappearing into the flow of afternoon pedestrians. Just another couple in a city of millions, unremarkable, invisible, which is exactly how Cole Rourke likes it. This is a story about violence, yes, but more than that, it's a story about protection. About what happens when ordinary people are forced to confront extraordinary circumstances. About the thin line between victim and survivor, between civilian and warrior. Ava Martinez started as a quiet art student who wanted nothing more than to finish her degree and live peacefully. She ended as someone who understands that peace isn't given, it's fought for. That safety isn't a right. It's something that must sometimes be defended with force. Cole Rourke started as a weapon trying to be a man. He ended as a man who acknowledges his capacity for violence, but chooses how and when to use it. Who learned that strength isn't about how much damage you can do, but about what you protect and why. And together they created something neither expected, a relationship built not on illusions, but on truth. Not on what they wish they were, but on what they actually are. Flawed, complicated, damaged in ways that may never fully heal, but alive, together, surviving. The Vega Syndicate is gone, but Chicago still has crime, still has violence, still has predators who mistake kindness for weakness and quiet people for easy targets. But now, somewhere in that city, there's a ghost who watches, who waits, who will not hesitate to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Some call him a vigilante, some call him dangerous, some call him exactly what the city needs. His girlfriend just calls him Cole. And when she looks at him, she sees neither hero nor villain, but simply the man who loves her enough to fight the world if necessary. That's the real story, not the violence. Not the tactical brilliance or the viral video or the dramatic warehouse raid. The real story is two broken people who found each other and decided that broken doesn't mean unfixable. That scars don't make you less worthy of love. That sometimes the people who've seen the darkest parts of the world are the ones who fight hardest to protect the light. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. If this story moved you, if it made you think about justice and protection and the complexity of human nature, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Subscribe for more stories that don't shy away from hard truths. And remember, we all have the capacity for both darkness and light. What matters is what we choose to do with it. This is the story of the ghost of Chicago. But really, it's the story of anyone who's ever loved someone enough to become dangerous in their defense. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.